where he sacrificed. Now they see you as you are.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of you guys that are watching right now, you're still watching the finale that is House of the Dragon. So we're not going to go into spoilers until it's 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But what we will talk around is some of our reactions because we've already seen the episode and we're eager to talk with you guys with it. I'm going to bring some of the hosts in to let them kind of spill a little bit of their feelings about the episode and the season as a whole without divulging any spoilers whatsoever until a little bit later. All right, first on deck, Jorge. What's up, dude?
What is going on? Wow. All I can say is this title is fitting. House of Dragons. No, I love this episode. This was what I was hoping for. So yeah, I'm still digesting all of it. But overall, no, this was awesome. Like I saw stuff that I did not think I was gonna ever see, and I saw it. And I know we'll talk about that later on. But no, as for me, this was 2 thumbs up. This was a banger to get out of this season finale for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man. Next on deck, Ant Gold. What's up, good sir?
So how's it going? What? I just gotta say, I am thoroughly disappointed in this final when I compare it to the masterful works of intricacies and plot that we have seen in She-Hulk and Power of the Rings.
Oh my god! I can't.
All right, so I gotta tell that was a lot. This was great. I don't see how y'all compare the shows we have gotten these past couple weeks finales versus something like this. Everything was it was masterfully done. And this is what you have when you have good source material that you listen to and you take from.
Dang. All right. Tell you how you really feel.
Oh, really? I can't.
No, not yet. You gotta wait. You gotta wait, sir, until 10 o'clock. Next on deck, got Ronan Unchained. What's up, man?
What's up, y'all? Damn, I was like, wait, what? Are we gonna start already with arguments about what do you mean like this? This was a heck of a finale, and as someone who still hasn't finished Game of Thrones, who wasn't watching it when it was popular at its height, as someone fresh, the first episode hooked me, and for the past 10 weeks, this show has not let go of me at all by a thin, long thread, and I was just waiting for stuff to snap. And in the immortal words of Martin Lawrence, excuse my language, but shit just got real. Yeah, that's all. And I'm not even gonna talk She-Hulk finale. This is House of the Dragon, so yeah, this was
Oh man. I guess I'm gonna leave that alone. Yeah, for me, it definitely was. It lived up to its name. This episode, as a whole, as a series, some of the things I didn't like with the time jump, some of the stuff they kind of skipped around and went back and forth with in the beginning. Okay, I've been able to forgive a lot of it, but the way this finale, it started insane and it ended platforming us to move forward to something that I could have never expected. So yeah, I'm very pleased by this finale. Have another member of TeamJVS is about to talk now. We'll bring him into the fray. What's going on, Keaton?
What's going on? How y'all doing? Had to
Pretty
represent.
good, man.
He's
So
rapping.
Oh yeah. Had to do it.
what we're
to do
doing
it, too.
real quick, just so you know, we're not talking spoilers yet until 9 minutes from now. But
I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't seen it.
if you could give your if you could give your unfiltered reaction of the finale and then I guess your assessment as the season as a whole, go for it.
All right. I'm mad because for the first time I'm gonna have to wait with y'all for Game of Thrones to come out. Last time when I started the show, I started late enough that the only thing I had to wait for was the last season. Now I'm sitting here awestruck because that finale and this whole season was absolutely lit. I absolutely loved it, and now I gotta wait. That's it. I'm like I said, I'm mad. I'm frustrated. But nah, for real, it was. I absolutely loved it. It gave me that feeling like when I first got into Game of Thrones. Like that's the vibes that I got. And this last episode, I mean, it hit a home run out of the park, over the river, through a Walmart. Like it's gone. Like
Through a Walmart.
yeah, it was, man. I'm still like at a loss for words. And it's what's funny is that I kind of saw it coming, but like the execution and the
Right.
cinematography and the way they did everything, it just
One can say it was a mouthful.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not right. That's not right.
Oh Lord.
I mean, did it exceed y'all's expectations? That's my question to y'all. Like, I mean, a lot of us kind of assessed. Some of you guys already knew what was coming. People that are gonna be trickling in, like, have legit read.
Yeah.
But I mean, did it exceed your expectations? Because for me, it did. I didn't expect the episode to start off the way that it did and build to how it ended. I never could have estimated. I knew it was going to be a tragedy going to happen, but I didn't. It was like a series of unfortunate events that went down. But yeah, what are y'all thoughts on that?
Well, funny enough, you just showed that intro. From what I saw the trailers, and again, the trailers I liked them, but they weren't hooking me until the second week when I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it a try.
Yeah,
I thought the season, me thinking, oh, I know how this is gonna end, is with that whole sequence of like now they know who you truly are, and that's what mid-season. That's when the hands are like, the gloves are taken off, and Allison's on this side, and
right.
Rhaenyra is on this side. So I feel that it still honored what the past, the first 8 episodes did in terms of tension and you just caring for these characters. As brutal as they can be, as conniving, as immoral, as again, that's objective. Some people might be House Green towards the finale, might feel different than a lot of us. So I like the fact that even after the tragedy that it took us for this episode, and the last shot, I'm like, the fact that I want more and I don't have another week to watch, I have to wait a year, hopefully, for season 2. That's a good sign. So as someone, again, I'm not a big, I like Game of Thrones of what I've seen so far, and I stopped at the beginning of 5th season to be like, all right, I don't want to get too much into it more and just let this ride out. And now I can finally read the book because I didn't read the book at all, and I was like wanting to read that or not first. So in terms of meeting my expectations, I'm hooked. I'm a George R.R. Martin fan now. He's an effed up guy with what he does with his characters, but that's
God.
no. I'm
he
just
he
sarcastic.
bases he bases most of it on real history. Honestly,
Yeah,
we're a
This
effed
is
up people. We're an effed up people.
exactly. There you go. That's
Right.
point taken. But I can't get my eyes out of it. That's the unique thing about it. I can't stop watching this show. I can't stop thinking about it. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you because I am one who have not read any of the books. So I'm going into this all blind. I think, Ant, you've read all the books, and Keaton, have you read them or no?
I beforehand I had a synopsis. So in the Game of Thrones Blu-rays, there's a special thing called Histories and Lore.
Oh yeah.
And it's like an animated featurette. It's about an hour long per season that goes through like the history of Westeros, and it's narrated by the actors on the show. It's really, really well done. And I remember seeing some stuff there about the Dance of Dragons, so I know a little bit about what goes down.
That
Okay.
was actually the longest one they did, and it was like it told. Don't It's on YouTube. Don't watch it if you don't want to be ruined for what
Right?
happens
Yeah,
next, because you got 4 years to go through. I mean,
yeah. But it's
I know
really
what's
good.
happening. It's really good, and even if you want to know more stuff about what goes on in the history of this world, each video is so well done and like leads you through the mythos and the houses and the
Yeah.
mystical stuff really well. But that one I forgot about. I think it's like 20 something minutes long. The one you're talking about with Dance of
Hmm.
Dragons.
Yeah.
And different
It's
actors
yeah.
and voice. Yeah, but even with that, and even with if you've read the histories, if you read Fire and Blood or whatever, they have changed things. They've changed things in the show, and some of the
Hmm.
changes have been better.
Okay.
Martin has actually messaged Patty and said, you that this is you are Viserys. You've done a better job than I wrote." And
Wow.
That's
a lot of the
awesome.
stuff has been ad lib,
Beautiful.
like the crown scene where he drops the crown. That was ad libbed. Like the crown was supposed to drop, and
Yeah.
Matt Smith went over, did it, and Patty like picked up on it and they ran with it. If you didn't tell me that was
Oh,
ad lib, I would have thought that was just great writing, great
Yeah.
writing. But this is something that you take really good actors, you take good material, good production value, you put them together, you get moments like that. And there's a couple other ad lib moments. I have to look them up again. But I was surprised. I was like, they didn't plan that.
Yeah.
And
wow.
yeah,
No, okay.
so
Cool.
So
yeah.
I didn't know any of that. Yeah. So at least for me, for someone coming in who hasn't read the books or didn't look at the special features in the Blu-ray, so now I may have to bust that out. No, this blew me away. Like this is what Game of Thrones, like this was what all the hype was, years ago, when this is what everyone would talk about.
Yeah.
Like this show, like this season has almost like renewed all that negativity that people kind of like threw near the end of
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And I'm probably in the minority, which I didn't mind the end of it. As much as like everyone else, yeah. Ooh, animals lost his
Oh,
self.
as much. As much. My bad.
Yeah,
My
for
bad.
what it was, like, I enjoyed it. I think but it almost like wipes all of that gone. Like the way that they've set up characters. And at first, I think, and you can look back at some of our previous like after show stuff, some of my biggest gripes were these time jumps.
Right.
And now I get it. Like I wish they wouldn't have made it so drastic, but now seeing like the adults playing, I'm like, I get it. I was like, I wish it would have been smoother, but I get it. Oh, and this light up table was
Oh,
this
So
was like the original Underglow.
So at this point now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, it is officially 10 Eastern Standard Time. So we, I think, are a go. So
Ooh.
we're going to be going into spoilers now, everybody. So if you have not seen the episode yet, go ahead and check it out and then come back to us because we got a lot of ground to cover. But
Got something to talk about.
yeah. So let's go ahead and just get into it, man.
oh.
The opening of this episode, just taking the opening of it, and old girl coming in with the armor, like, look, man, the king's dead.
Yep.
And Rhaenyra and Damon just looking like, wait, what? And their reaction to it, two different reactions that are happening simultaneously. And I thought it was very well acted because Damon, for the first time, he's emoting a lot of anger and frustration. He's looking as like they killed my brother. And then Rhaenyra is like pregnant and feeling the weight of all of it, like physically and emotionally. And it's like a chain reaction that happens because one, there's a tragedy that happens at the beginning of the episode, as well as like, emotionally the disconnect between Rhaenyra and Damon because of this action as well. So I was curious y'all's perspective on the opening of this because I felt like it was one of the strongest things opening this episode up because it was so tragic and it was shocking at the same time. So anybody want to take that first?
So I do have a question. I'll jump in, but I have a question for the rest of you guys. Do you think that the reason she basically had a stillborn and had a miscarriage was due to finding out that her father died and that like her childhood friend's son is who's sitting on the throne now and who got like crowned? Because for me, when I watched it, I kind of had two thoughts. I was like, oh, maybe like all this information is what's like hitting her, in that way. And that's why she had the miscarriage. But then the way that she kind of did that like birthing scene, it was almost like if she knew that baby was already going to be a stillborn and she just wanted it out of her system so that she can just kind of get back to it. But in terms of how this episode started, I thought it was bananas starting the way it did, and that birthing scene was unreal. But
Oh,
I did want to pose that question to you guys because I wasn't sure, the whole reason for it, I guess.
I
So-
so I don't think it had anything to do with the grief, because honestly when I saw it happening, it made me think about how it happened in the first episode,
Bama.
and then it also happened with Damon's wife, the Valerian. And then it happened again. And one of the things I remember them saying in the original series, they talked about like how often there were stillborns, and then how some of the Targaryens were even born. They even went crazy and said some of them were born with like dragon scales and all this crazy stuff like that. I honestly think this is a result of incest. I really like
That's what I figured. Yeah.
that's how I look at it. It's like this is the result of all y'all being cousins and brothers and sisters. Like this is, I think that's kind of what's showing what the result of it is. But gosh, it was
So-
that opening was brutal.
So-
The Basters say the baby came early. It was the early baby due to stress. I mean, that's what they were.
Yeah.
Typically, what we see for the incest thing is these flips of personalities, or you would see, and I think even the deformities is something you would usually see in a lot of inbreeding. So I think this was just the stress, the constant stress of hitting her that her father died and her position usurped, and it's going to be like a civil war. And again, she has the added pressure of the Song of Ice and Fire, which nobody else knows about, which is a whole other plot point they did beautifully in this.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they were leading to. It's also the reason why in the books a lot of people think that Tyrion is a Targaryen because of his deformities. So yeah, because the Mad King was obsessed with Tywin's wife and spent time with her or something like that.
In the books, doesn't he have white hair?
Yeah, he has a different type of blonde hair, like it's really, really light, and he
Yeah.
has mismatched eyes. So there's a theory, and there's also like prophecies of like there's three dragon riders.
Three dragon riders. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that's not this way. But I
Yeah.
think it was just due to stress.
Yeah, I agree with Ant, honestly, Jorge. Because the thing was, before they had gotten there, she was holding the baby with a lot of care, and just compounding all the different information. She was like, first off, man, my dad is dead. It's like, okay, now I have to be queen. What does that mean? Like, we're in a really bad space. Now she hears, wait, Allison put her son on the throne, recounting like what my dad gave me.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it was like all of a sudden it just kind of hit her. She saw the blood. She knew the baby was coming, but she saw the blood, and she's gone through this enough of like, okay, my water didn't just break. There's blood there. Okay, this is not good. So I think she went and retreated to try to deal with it. But I think that everything was good up until that point. I really do. It was stress induced. Like stress can manifest itself physically a lot of different ways, and I really think that paid a lot of paved the way to why this actually happened. But I mean, my thing is, well, any of you guys can answer this. I've never seen anything like that. The way that they did it, the way that they kind of captured the moment of the stillbirth and how she handled it, that was heartbreaking. Like I actually had to look away. If you guys want, you guys can see our reaction to the whole episode. I think it's on JVS Reactions. But I mean, most of us were just kind of like, I've never seen anything like that.
I've never seen anything. Yeah, I've never seen anything like that in like a non-horror setting. Like I've seen some pretty brutal stuff in like horror movies, but this
it was.
I think this was a good thing because a lot of times in theater and in movies and stuff, we get she died in childbirth and she still looks so peaceful and hair and makeup done and stuff like that. Now we're seeing the season start off with horrific scene of trying to get a child and a dangerous of birth, and now we see another one. The season ends with a childbirth that didn't go as planned, and they're taking the mystique away from that, right? That these are that this is also their battlefield, and their children are also involved in this war because that news affected her childbirth. So literally, the first casualty of this war was that unborn child. Not counting the old guy in the table that said Chris
Yeah.
smash, but the first casualty was this child. So she got caught. Literally got cost two children in one episode from the actions of the Greens.
I didn't think Emma's ending would foreshadow Rhaenyra's rise as a queen, which is sad when you look at it now. When that was happening, besides being appalled from it, I just thought about Emma. I mean, this is the reverse of Emma. I mean Rhaenyra was saying nobody help her. Like all the ladies were begging her, like, please let us help you, and
Would
she
you want them
said
helping
no.
you? Would you want them helping you after they
No,
did
but,
to your
but no,
mama?
but I know,
That's the
but
point.
that's my point. That like
Yeah.
the fact that like look what happened with her mother, who I don't know if she knows the truth of what went down, but the fact that people had to hold her mother down, and I mean I don't even want to talk, describe how
She
that
ain't
scene
laid
went down.
down. She ain't let nobody hold her or touch her. She was walking around. She's like, I ain't going out like mama.
And it's just
So
and you guys brought up the whole thing of Damon, and I think it was Nat who said that she felt bad for Damon and Rhaenyra, and you just look at how, I mean, I'm talking of children. The only other person I can think of of Damon like is Aemon, and then they're not, they're it's from a different mother, different father, and I'm like, you look at what Rhaenyra went through, and the whole time you see her holding her belly, and I'm like, please, not again. Like I don't like enough with this with the Targaryen ladies, but you know, it's
Yeah.
just
Like she's going through that after seeing her mom go through it.
yeah, and I think it was one of you, most of you said that it was like I admittedly arrogantly I was just like, what do you expect when an uncle and a niece get down on it, something's bound to effed up or act weird in terms of childbirth, like the numbers don't lie. And I just, yeah, this episode, I don't want to go too ahead, but just this episode I pitied and felt so bad for Rhaenyra. And I want to just give a shout out to Emma Darcy. That I don't know what she had to go through in that mindset to play that part. I don't know how long it took to shoot that, and I just want to commend her for that, because as someone who wants to be in the business, I don't envy that at all in terms of like daunting to film that. So yeah.
Yeah, real quick, because he just came in. What's going on, Ty? How you doing, man?
What's going on, good people? I find myself in a very unique situation because I didn't know we were going to start as early as the show was being aired. So as I'm listening to you all discuss, I'm actually still watching the episode. And for those that remember
in the
our
wrong
last
place.
review,
because I'm about to spoil a lot.
Yeah, go ahead and
it
leave.
it doesn't. Spoilers like that for something like this don't bother me. Don't even worry about it. Remember, I read the book, so I already knew what's coming. But if you remember when I said I was looking for something in episode 9, I know it's coming in this episode, and I think they're gonna cliffhang me right after the deed is done. But it is what it is. I feel I'm in agreement with you all pertaining to Rhaenyra, especially having to start the episode with basically what her mother went through, and it seems to be, even though it is a product of incest, it seems to be a curse upon the women, the Targaryen women, where they all tend to have some difficulty with some child. First, it was Rhaenyra's mother. Then it was, like you said, Damon's wife, Corlys's daughter, and now Rhaenyra is going through it too. And as we have seen in each particular situation, the curse of the significant other is not knowing what to do properly to be there for their significant other. Viserys made the wrong choice with his wife. Damon made the wrong choice with his wife. and now we've seen Damon make the wrong choice basically again with his current wife when he should have been basically there for her, just being present for
I
her.
gotta disagree with
But
that. I gotta disagree. I think they cut a lot of scenes out. Like I know they cut a lot of them making up. And this episode, they cut out like 3 or 4 of the scenes. They just wanted to show this harsher side. I think when the showrunner said they don't understand why he's such a fan favorite right now. But there is a war.
People
in,
like toxic folks, man.
right. There's
Toxic
a
is in.
war coming, right? There's a war coming, and Damon knew he couldn't help. I mean, he's been really supportive of his family. We as modern men would like to be there for our partners giving birth, right? But if you know there's an army coming for your family, are you gonna stop for the 4 to 8 hours to go in there and and leave the planning to lessers? Would y'all do that, or would you shore up the house?
I'm not saying. I'm not sure what you're disagreeing with. I'm just relaying the pattern. When I say he makes the wrong choice, he made the wrong choice with his previous wife. I think he made the wrong choice with his current wife, even though there was nothing he can do. I'm not saying I don't commend him for moving forward, but you could see on his face in the moments after he did that, and the moment he looks at his wife, and then the moment he goes out on the beach, you can tell how he's feeling. When I say there's a curse amongst it, it's basically okay, let me rephrase it. It's the curse that plagues the men of their inability to do something. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say it's the wrong choice. Maybe that's not what I'm saying, but it's an inability to do something, or at least those that actually have the ability or make the ability to do something, they make a wrong choice, like Viserys did with his first wife.
Yeah,
All I'm simply saying is they're showing a pattern, as it is with Targaryen women and Targaryen men, which I think are all a product. They're dealing with all this, of course, because of incest. And it's a plague that curses them, which you see this in they don't really show it in another series I'm thinking about, but they do have that as well in that other series. But I don't want to bring another series into this discussion. That's all I'm saying.
This could also parallel Daenerys as well. If you go back to her child that she was supposed to have with Drago, and her losing that baby, and then later on, of course, losing the dragon. But it started off with, she lost the baby. So it's very interesting. It seems like, when a lot of them are connected to a place of power, or their husbands are, like, there is tragedy that's connected to it. So it's very interesting how that parallels very. But moving into that, when you talk about, I think it's a good segue talking into Damon. How many of you guys agree with Damon's perspective on how to handle this? Do you think he was kind of like going off the handles? Do you feel like, he made the right decision? What was
Damon
y'all
is
thoughts on
dealing.
Damon in this episode?
Damon is dealing with is dealing with the things that he observed before he saw his brother. When he saw his brother, when they came back to King's Landing, and they saw how his brother was under the milk of the poppy and how phased out he was, Damon at that point truly felt that they were basically killing his brother, that they were kind of slowly killing him so that they could get him out the way, so much to the point that when he makes that final, statement to his wife, he's not even talking to her. He's talking to his daughter about the discussion they had in secret. But because they messed around and named their child after this dude, she just needed anything to grasp onto to solidify her child, completely also understanding that he's the second of his name. But at that point, once he found out his brother was dead, on top of which not only was his brother dead, they didn't notify or tell them that his brother and her father are dead, but they basically usurped the throne and locked up Rhaenys until they could do everything. and I got to give you credit to this, Sam, because we talked about this last time. Why didn't Rhaenys just flame broil all these cats?
Bruh.
And Damon does bring that up. But the fact of the matter is, from the moment he found out that he was dead, that was it. He basically was like, it was like the old school joint. You killed my brother, you dirty rat. He wants everybody at that point. I ain't mad at him. I mean, honestly,
Same.
I think the point I've been upset about is when Rhaenyra stopped him from taking Hightower out because he needed to go. But that's my.
I hear the thing.
They needed to capture him. I don't understand the logic behind that. Like, you have the Queen Regent's father right there, and you don't have a standing army or the resources. I'm not trying to cut you off, but that blew my mind.
And yeah, and I mean, they also, and I think Rhaenyra gets to that. She also knows that, like, besides winning this battle against the High Towers, the Greens, you got to get the realm behind you as well. I mean, they just crowned someone in front of a Jesus. They just crowned someone in front of thousands of people, and it's just like, this is a bigger picture. Even though, yes, he's mad, and I want him to avenge his brother, but you gotta hold that rage until the right time, and then loosen up on the enemies, and not just go rash in with decisions. Even though they are valid, it's look at the bigger picture instead of just in the moment thing. And again, this is probably just a modern talk. I don't know how it would have gone through. And that's also what's sad, and he sees it, that the rage that builds up throughout the episode is that the same moves his wife/niece is doing is what his brother did back then, where it was just like, let's do it respectfully with honor, and he's like, F that. There's got to be show how strong you are. If not, people will doubt you.
So I think I gotta find out the book. There's a book that talks about the higher you go in leadership from your base, and the more you see, and they can't see it, you get disconnected from your base, right? So the king and Rhaenyra, they both know about this prophecy of demons coming over the ice wall, right? Like, nobody else knows this stuff, and they're like, we got to keep this realm together, and they went about it a bad, ineffective way, because if he was a little bit of a sterner king, the realm would have stayed together and they would have had dragons, but it didn't happen. But I think there was a line you didn't want to cross, right? Like, families will fight, but if you kill one of your family members, that's a whole different, that escalates something else, and you can't come back from that. There's no swing for peace after a certain point is gone. Like in Game of Thrones, we want peace. Oh, that's your piece right there. The minute Joffrey took Ned Stark's head, you have an easier time from that cup than you do asking for peace from now. So everybody knows it's just a line. They up until a certain thing happens, you can come back from that. Like Damon, he has an easier time crossing lines and seeing where all this is going. I think Damon understands. Well, one, he's pissed because he loved his brother. Above all else, he loved his brother. But beyond that, I think he just sees the wheels are already turning. This is going to escalate. There is
keep up with it. Yeah.
So if you don't get ahead of this, you're putting more of us in danger. You're putting more risk that we're going to lose. And I saw my brother be indecisive, and now it looks like you're being indecisive.
But I didn't think it was called for him to, like, start choking her, even though, I mean, I get it, get her attention. But even then, I was worried. I'm like, wait, what does this mean now? Is Rhaenyra not on her own? But again, it's Damon.
That turned into a sex scene. They cut out a sex scene with him after the choking, and that's interesting to me, because one, she just miscarried, so that could be a reason why they cut it.
You're not helping, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they cut out a lot of his more sympathetic scenes in this episode, last couple episodes actually.
And also, I want to do this quick, get out of the way. This is the man who killed his first wife, which he always said, she's not worth it. She's like a goat and whatnot. And then we're introduced to her, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? You don't want that? Introduce a brother here. Damn it. And then boom. And I'm like,
Ronan looked up and down and said, I'll take it.
I see the potentiality. You don't, I guess, but all right.
Is divorce not a thing?
And yeah, and I mean, it's like, you talk about the Targaryen curse and all this stuff. It's just like, dude, you also don't have the greatest track record when it comes to relationships and all that stuff. So I know your heart is, and I respect it, but you know, think about it before you start, choking your wife slash niece upon that, and what you're holding inside of you, keep it there. We'll need it, but I don't know. It's
Don't
point of view,
express
I
your
guess.
feelings. Be a man.
Yeah.
choke him down until you
So-
kill somebody or you die of a heart attack.
You want
Be
to
a
fight,
man.
bro?
So I will say one thing that no one has kind of touched on yet, which I thought was probably super from Damon's point of view, just super nice and a nice kind of showing his side of it. When he put the crown on his wife's head, that was such a moment for me. And I think that happened before the choke scene, so I get it. But when he did that, that reminded me so much of when he put the crown on his brother's head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those moments where, when you see that crown, and it's kind of nice because it's almost like the same thing now with the new king. Once he got that crown on him and started walking through, it was almost like this new persona came out. And once he put that crown and she saw that, he was, as soon as he put it, he was the first one to bend the knee.
Yeah.
And then everyone followed suit.
Yep.
I
Not
thought,
everybody.
yeah, it's like, I thought, well, yeah,
Except, yeah.
one was still indecisive. But no, I thought that was a scene that just kind of showed his growth throughout all this, because this is someone who wanted the crown, and his brother basically was like, nope, it's not going to be you. And he ends up making it, at that point, his niece, which ends up being his wife. And it was one of those full circle things for me where I definitely saw that as such a high part of his arc, just going full circle and just accepting, okay, I'm not going to be the A player. It's like, I'll be the Scottie Pippen to her Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It was just a neat one for me on that one.
And he could see what his brother went through, and what now it's like, yo, what I saw my brother go through, what my wife's gonna go through, I don't want none of that. My mindset, just give me a sword, I'll do the rest. Just
Yep.
Tell me where they are, and I'll spike their heads and whatnot. And yeah, that's what people, because people saying, how can people like this character and whatnot? It's like, it's a 3-dimensional character. He's an effed up dude. I was introduced to them with him cutting arms, heads, and penises and whatnot. I'm like, what the heck? But there's a flip side to it. The one dude who's like, yo, you're my brother and I love you, but I'm going to tell you straight up, they're waiting to stab you in the back. And yeah, that's something where I just can't get my eyes off and be like, all right, I want to see what happens, and just hope you still make it out of it alive and still have some semblance of connection to your family at the end.
Yeah, Keaton, you've been real quiet, and I know how you feel about the character Damon, but what was your thought process on him? And
he's a very dynamic character because selfish people still have a very strong love, and when you get introduced to Damon, you see he's a very selfish person, but he loves his brother. He definitely doesn't love his wife, right? And then he kills that wife. He gets with...
Oh, you're talking about his first wife. Oh,
yeah,
I was like,
first
okay.
wife. He gets with...
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah, he gets with the second wife, and it's one of those things where when she does die, it's one of those rare times where you see him, he was actually sad, and it almost seemed like he was surprised at how sad he was, because I can't remember who asked, did you love her? And he said something along the lines like, we got along great, like we did just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then his relationship with Rhaenyra, I think what he's admitting now is like, okay, this is somebody I actually deeply care about. And I mean, we saw how brutally honest he was with his brother. I mean, I'm the only one who's ever had your back. These people want you dead. And I think he's still that person. It's just that now his selfishness includes the person that he loves. It's like, this is the person that I'm willing to do anything for, to protect, even if it means crazily putting my hands on them, but we gonna get this done, and I'm gonna make sure to look out for you. I think that's what's going on now. So it's really interesting because, like I said, I still think he's the exact same Damon. I think now he just has something in that inner circle that he had with Viserys that he's willing to not give up.
Yeah, no, I completely agree because the thing about it, like you guys pointed out all the different acts he did. When he first heard about his brother dying, he was pissed and he was ready to go on the attack without any kind of thought or reasoning. Then it was like, oh, okay, now my wife, I have to protect her. But when he held the crown, it was really interesting because it was almost like he assessed it for a second, like, am I really doing this? Okay, yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah. And then, like you said, when she brought up the song, the history lesson that I guess he was never privy to. I don't know why Viserys never gave that to him. I'm curious y'all's perspective on it, but he was so upset that she was using that. He thought it was like she's using this as an excuse to be weak. She was like, this is the same exact thing that got your dad killed ultimately, and you're doing the same exact thing. But I don't condone his action because he still was in the wrong. Like, you don't put your hands on your wife. The funny thing is, he's never put his hand on his wife that we know of, that we've seen. But it was that moment that he like legit crossed the line. And I think that's why he kind of removed himself from the situation because she didn't tell him to go. He left. He left and he was like, let me go talk to my dragon real quick. But all that from that point now, then we find out a certain sea serpent is back. And he's like, look, I'm going to hold it down. I got your back. Like, you're still family. And were y'all surprised to see him come back? Or do you guys think that he was going to show up next season? Because
so happy he was a lip. The way
so happy he was alive.
The way they described his wounds, I was surprised he just had a lip. I thought he had to carry him.
Hey, black don't crack, baby.
I love that the
now. Good.
I love one of the first things he's asked. He's like, so, where's Damon? He's like, we got to talk about something. So, what'd you do when I was away?
Yeah. But real quick about the song of Ice and Fire, what it symbolized to me is that it's kind of like, imagine you took care of somebody, you were close to somebody, and you find out that everybody's in their will but you, and it's the one person you wanted to be close to, and they didn't leave you their prized whatever, or something that you had cherished, and what it signifies is he was never really the heir in his brother's mind. So one, your brother wanted another heir so bad that he killed his beloved wife to get a son. Started a war, started a potential war for the son. It means he was never the one person he wanted to be close to. That means he was only heir apparent out of the rules. He never saw him as the heir because he didn't share this. And so I think when he was like he believed in prophecies, I think that was his sour grapes in a way. Yep. It was kind of like it was foolish, and he was hurt by that. That was another blow at that moment. I just had to say that. Sorry.
No, you're good.
That's fair.
Jorge, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think in this episode, like, he went through so much, and for me, it's when she pulled out the whole like Song and Fire. I just looked at it as one more step in him just kind of understanding his place.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, it's not like she was saying it in a bad format or anything like that. Because as soon as she said it and she kind of saw his face, I believe in the episode, she goes, oh, you like, he never told you.
Right.
Even she felt bad at that moment. Like, oh crap, like I just spoiled something. And I think for him, it was more of psychologically just being like, cool, like, I'm just going to be a hammer. Like, moving forward, there's no finesse. Like, I am, like, that is just who he's going to be. Because I think it was one of those things where he thought, or at least I think, once he put the crown on her, in his head, because even the way he talked to her and everything, it was like, I'm still your husband. Like, you'll still like follow me. And it was like once she said those few lines where it was just like, crap, like, no, like you're the queen. Like, I'll go off. And I think it's one of those things where he maybe understood at that point why his brother, for better lack of terms, always kept them, 6 feet apart. because I think it was in like episode 2. No, it was probably episode 3, where they were talking about like all the different like little jobs that he had for a while. And it's almost like when you have that one cousin that you're trying to help, and you're like, yeah, why don't you like rake some leaves over here? And then once they're done with that, you're like, cool, you want to mow this other lawn, like down the road. You never like put him with you, like with the real jobs or stuff like that. So I think he's just coming to terms with that, in just the way that he is, But that's kind of my thoughts for that, for him at least, and what's going through his mind throughout all of this.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. Like you said, Damon got put in check by Rhaenyra, got put in check by her son, which that was interesting altercation. And then he kind of went away to find his dragon, so to speak, and reconnect with that. But in the middle of those moments, she made a decision.
You're talking about the cave? That wasn't his dragon. That's a different dragon.
That wasn't Caraxes?
No, I was gonna say that definitely didn't seem like a normal dragon, because he seemed very scared going into that cave.
Okay.
Because at first when I saw him walking through it, I was kind of like, oh, I'm like, what underground like whorehouse is he in now? But then once he dropped,
what dragon is that then?
It would be spoiling stuff to talk about.
Okay.
Oh,
look at that face.
I thought that was Caraxes. I thought it was just saying it had been a long time since he had seen him.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
See, and the only reason I didn't think so was because that dragon looked ginormous compared to him. Because even I guess looking at some of the other dragons, when you look at like their heads proportionate to like any of their riders, like even the sons, their dragons don't look that large.
And we saw that they weren't.
Yeah, basically. No, but it's true. But when you see this dragon, like this one, just its head alone, I think Damon seems like a pretty tall character in this show, like that dragon's like some of his teeth were about the same size as him. And when you just see that dragon approaching, I was just like, oh Lord, I'm like, he better sing the right song, because this dragon's about to, make him a little marshmallow here in a minute.
So okay, that's interesting take. I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither. I honestly just assumed it was Caraxes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, so Rhaenyra takes both of her sons, has one go to the Starks and the other one go to I think the Baratheons, and of course it's the younger one that's going to the Baratheons. Now, when that moment happened, for you guys that are not book readers, did you guys think she just sent her son out to die? Because I think the episode even started with her and him talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I definitely didn't think she was sending him to die. I think she was giving him the layup, like the easiest thing. And she knew that he wasn't going to be, because even when she made him, like both of them swear that they weren't going to fight,
dumb,
he legit was like, not a problem. Like he slapped his hand on there without second guessing anything.
True.
I think what threw him off is, once he entered and he found an old family member just chilling there. That's when he was like, crap. But no, I don't think she thought that at all. But at the same time, that kind of shows you, I don't want to say how behind the ball she is with what she's doing, but how ahead. And I don't know if that was the new king's thought process or who on the green side thought that. But I thought that was a great, power move on their side, like just strategic wise. But yeah, but no, I don't think she, or at least when I was watching it, I did not expect that to be like a farewell.
Man, look, I'm gonna say it like this.
Oh,
when we were going and we were watching it, I was like, she know better. Because the thing is, like, the easiest target is her kids. At this point, they've already declared war. Otto went up in her face and said, you better do this. Your son's gonna be the cupbearer of that. And like, it's strenuous times right now. This is not the time to take your children and send them out, because anybody that's that's not loyal to her could come against them, even in between the travel time. So I was kind of like,
she was obeying her dad.
One of those
last thing
kids
he
was gonna
said, he
die.
wanted him to get along. She was
I
just trying her best. I think that's what it was. She was trying her best. Last thing Viserys was like, we got to stick together. We got to get along. And so she was doing her best to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, all right, look, y'all know that's my crown. I know that's my crown. Here it is in the will that that's my crown. Give me the keys to the Camry, okay? I don't want no trouble, but the car was left to me. I want my car. It ain't JJ's car. It's my car. I'm going back home, but I want the keys to my car.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what's going on. Like, look, I'm gonna try and do this peacefully, y'all, my cousins, but I think this was the come to Jesus moment where, like, you saw that turnaround at the end of the episode, and it's like, and there's the smoke.
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing
I was just gonna say that.
Is that
I think that. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say when you read it, it seems like when people tell the story, because we all get point of view characters, like people think they know what happens. Like Aemon killed him on purpose, but you can see in Aemon's face, he's like, "Oh man, I messed up. I did not mean for this to escalate. I was just trying to bully him. Like I was just trying to even he knows he escalated this war to a point where there is no going back." And I love that look on his face right there. I love that look on his face because he's like, "Oh crap. Even he's tried to stop." So I love Reddit has had they have put the personality of what's the big dragon's name? Vhagar.
Vhagar.
Am I saying that right? Vhagar?
The big one's Vhagar.
Vhagar.
Vhagar. They have put the personality of her being a senile old dragon that still thinks she's fighting the Dornish war with Aegon's sister, and they've got time for these kids taking pop shots, and she's also hard of hearing. So the memes, I put some of them in the chat. The memes are just funny. They're just funny as hell.
The memes in House of the Dragon have been lit.
Yeah. So, but I like and everything, even from if you read it, you knew what was happening to him. But the camera angles, the music, his facial expressions, that kid did a great job in acting through that whole thing. But I like that they gave him some fight. He used maneuverability of Caraxes, right? That's this one. His. So even though he's smaller, he's getting battered around by the storm. He was weaving in and out, doing all this
Eric's.
Yeah. Lucerys' dragon was Eric's. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but I like he got a little too cocky. Shot that fireball. Like he was doing something. And Vhagar was like, "I ain't got time for these kids." There's one meme that shows her going, "And I took that fireball personally."
Oh yeah. It was the Michael Jordan F them kids.
So what I find interesting is that the way they portray it is as if the dragons made this call, because when Arax blew the fire onto Vhagar, you heard Lucerys be like, "No, Arax, don't do that," and then you hear Aemon telling Vhagar, no. But the thing about it is they tell you the dragons take on their personas of the actual writers. So I think even though, and it's ironically in the book, it gives the impression that that is what Aemon wanted, but I think the dragons are really reflecting what the young men themselves wanted. I think Lucerys wanted to get at Aemon, and I knew Aemon wanted to take that dude. So I think the dragons, right, exactly. I like that right there. It was like, look, I wasn't trying to give him no smoke. He gave me fire, so I had to handle my business. Look, that was called self-dragon defense right there. I felt violated. I felt like my life was threatened. Yeah, I'm 3-4 times his size, but I felt threatened, so I had to defend myself. Your high dragon honor,
You tried to run a fade, so let's get it. Like,
look, I know how it is. I'm the biggest dragon on the block. I'm the one that all the other dragons be looking at, you know what I'm saying? But I had to defend myself. Look, punk suckers jump up to get beat down, and that's what happened. You know,
You could have just ran. You could have kept running. You could have kept running. You would have
right?
come over.
But the thing about it was that out of all of that, the look on Eamon's face,
Mhm.
I needed them to hire Bill Duke to come by in his own dragon, so he could be like, "Can I tell you something?
You know you
done
don't.
messed up, right?" Because the look on Eamon's face when Vagar took him out, it was like,
Oh
I
snap!
done messed up. I know I done messed
Mama
up.
gonna get me on this one. Mama gonna get me
Right.
on this one.
And this is what I thought episode 9 was gonna be. I thought episode 9 was gonna end with that, but
Me too.
you know, they gave it to me in episode 10, and I'm just like, and you just saw all of Rhaenyra's father melt away. Y'all are funny. Y'all are so hilarious. I love it.
Posting all these in the chat. They were having me dying.
Yo, that is hilarious.
Someone magnified.
But the melt away, the whole melt away of Rhaenyra's father's influence on her after she found that out, you know, she holding nothing now. All bets are off.
That's it.
As far as she's concerned, all of Westeros could burn for all she cares. It's a wrap now.
Right.
And what's weird?
And we got to see Storm's End. I love that we got to see Storm's End.
Yeah,
all
finally.
And even though he had that Baratheon presence about him too. And we got to see finally got to see Sapphire Eye, which I've been waiting for this whole season since they brought him back. That was so beautifully done. And for the show not to have the budget of I'm gonna stop crapping on Rings of Power, I swear. But not have the budget of Rings of Power, they have put you into these different sets and environments. They gave the dragons different personalities and looks and how they move. They gave the castles and the scenery different things. They put their foot in this one. It was great. It was great.
What's weird is that as this cannot get any worse for Rhaenyra, having to lose another child, another death in her family. To her benefit, you know, we'll see how they play on season 2. There was witnesses. Baratheon was clearly saw that Aemon was antagonizing the whole time. It was like, no fighting. That's just a messenger. And when they find out that there's a missing body, and that there's blood all over the sea, and that Aemon's got a look on his face like he just spilled the milk on the kitchen, the stuff will swing, to Rhaenyra and Damon more now than the Hightower. Be like, yo, what are you doing? You just killed a messenger, a child messenger. What does that say about you and the kingdom you're running right now?
Kinslayer.
I mean, Damon did kill a messenger. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, I mean, you literally just killed family.
Yeah.
Right.
I
think that's
the dragon washes up on Storm's End or something.
That's the biggest thing. Like, say, for whatever reason, one of Rhaenyra's, sons killed Aemon some kind of miraculous way. That's an act of war. Like, that's family. Like, you doing that. This is the thing for me. Like, I want to see these two come at it, bro. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Like, I don't know if it's gonna happen. I don't know if it's in the book that happens, but
it's gonna look an anime
right here.
I'm looking for Damon to take this dude out because this dude's a wannabe Damon. He's like, look, you trying to look like me, you trying to be like me. They even changed the letters around so it wouldn't say Damon, it says Damon, but it's the same letters. You just a wannabe right now. You're not taking him out. I'm looking, and you know how Damon is. You saw how Damon was just over the fact that his brother died and he couldn't be there. Imagine how he gonna be knowing Lucerys is gone and now all bets are off. Come on now, he don't care, and he don't care that you got the biggest dragon. He gonna find a way to take your behind out.
He been holding it down. He been holding back for Rhaenyra. Like, that's the thing. And so now it's like, oh, I can do my thing now. Oh, for real? You gonna let me roll up on him? Like,
that's right. The dinner with Viserys, where like the nephews and the uncle almost got at it, and then Damon tops in and be like, no. And he just gives a look
that step in.
Yeah.
Wait, I handle this. Like, don't.
Yeah, you're right. Because the thing is, this whole entire time he's been kind of holding back. But then last episode, somebody called his wife something. they lost the head. You know what I'm saying? That was off of words. That's not off of actions. So yeah, like I think the scary thing is that we haven't seen Rhaenyra unleashed, so to speak. Like she's kind of been like the rational one, the reserved one, all the way down back when when they had the hunt, and she wilded out on the board, but she also was a subtle one to be like, no, we can't kill this thing. That's for my father to take out. You know what I'm saying? Like she's always carried herself a certain kind of way, but I feel like this episode was her breaking point, because at a certain point in the episode, I think somebody had said, like, man, she's holding the realm together by not allowing this war to just proceed forward. And I was kind of like, just off of her resilience, coming off of what happened with her kid, her dad, the betrayal of another house, and she's still holding it together. I was like, man, this girl's so strong. But now I don't know what she's capable of. I think that's the thing. Like the actress is doing an amazing job to show restraint so much that I don't know what it looks like with her with rage. I really don't.
She tried to be cool.
And I thought the series was going to end a little differently. And people know the story. Like I thought it was going to end with a different note. That was the cliffhanger. People who know the story, there was a cliffhanger. Like other people, like you're just waiting for the next thing to happen. I think that this season as a whole, like we had 4 episodes of pretty much glorified exposition, right? And it's all paying off. Like it's all paying off, and it just gets more deliciously toxic for everybody, because there are no good ties. The closest thing to good characters are the 2 Sea Serpent's granddaughters, and they just wanted to get married to these boys.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And now I'm picturing her reaction as she lost her betrothed. Like this is, and they all dragon riders. It's going.
So can I ask a question, since you brought that up, in terms of reactions to people dying? How do y'all think Rhaenys is thinking about this? Because in her mind, she's lost her daughter and she lost her son, and she still thinks that Rhaenyra is responsible for his death, even though, yes, we know he's alive. He found his way out of this game, but how do you think she thinks about this? Because at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little sliver of thought in the back of her mind, like karma's a bitch, because you're now feeling what I felt.
Did y'all notice she didn't bow? She's the only person that didn't bow.
Yeah, that's what I know. That was what I was saying. Yeah,
and I find that really interesting. Is like because I think she was gonna kind of go for neutrality for a little bit, right? So I mean, in her mind, all right, y'all wipe each other. I'll work with what's left. But I think her granddaughter's why she's still in this, right? That she can go along with it at some point.
Yeah.
But and yeah, I think she cares about the boys. I think both the grandparents care about the boys, even though they know they're not theirs.
Grandpa more, I think. Which is why I'm interested to see how he feels, because that was the one thing that made him now. I'm leaning more to him as my favorite character, because I mean, by this point, I can't root for anybody except to see what happens. I mean, it's effed up families up here, but yeah, the Valerians are the only ones. I'm like, all right, please don't start doing some megalomaniac stuff. I mean, the grandpa was the only one that was like knew that those aren't his grandsons, and yet still comforted. I think it was Lucerys, the one who said Driftmark. I don't know how to handle all this, and still put his hand on his shoulder. And I was like, that moment, and when the funeral was occurring, that was the one moment that I'm like, that takes a lot of guts and a lot of that's admirable for me. Be like, you're not really my grandson, but I'm gonna treat you like mine, because my son don't swing that way. That's fine if he doesn't swing that way, but I'll accept you. So. And yeah, I want to see how they're gonna react more to all of this. Hopefully, they get more time as well, because they're the ones that right now haven't caused so much bleak damage within their families.
how he reacted to his brother's death, he was like, "Yeah, that sounds like my brother. He probably talked to himself in that." And she cleaned it up. She cleaned it up. She was like, "Yeah, he called the boys bastards in front of the king." She ain't mentioned the whole
Right.
the strong hole in it and that man. And he was like, "Yeah, that sounds like
Yo.
that sounds like him."
Yo, my man went straight gam from Beer Fest. Like, do you see this? This is the mark of the hole. But the funny thing is, I feel for the Valerians. I feel for Rhaenys and Corlys because they basically, in this whole thing, they've basically gotten the short end of the stick. When Viserys' wife died, they tried to betroth their daughter to Viserys. That didn't work. Then their son ends up with Rhaenyra. Their daughter ends up with Damon. He can't get it up because he ain't attracted to her like that. So she now got these two illegitimate kids. Rhaenyra, their daughter has the stuff with Damon. Then she ends up killing herself because of the baby. Like, they've just been shafted. Corlys and Rhaenys. If I feel for anybody out this whole series, it's Corlys and Rhaenys because they're the ones that honestly, to me, have as close of a right to anything regarding that throne than anyone else because they're true Valeria, as it's been established. But they just got the short end of the stick, and they've been getting the short end of the stick from the moment Rhaenys was denied the throne way back. And this is only really becoming the thing, ironically, for the same reason, because the people want a man on the throne. And I think with what Alicent has done, the people have accepted Aegon because it's a man, a boy on the throne versus a woman. So I think out of all of them, I feel for the Valerians the most, for Corlys and Rhaenys specifically.
The people don't care who on that throne. The people don't care. The nobles care. The people just don't want to get killed by dragons and sit to war. Like,
there's literally a shot on last week's episode where it cuts to somebody in the crown being like, "Oh, okay, we got a new king now, I guess." Which I remember being like, that is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And yet, that's like, there's something to be said there about that,
They were forced to be there, and they got stopped by the dragon. Yet you stopped the burn of noble people that stood us there.
Hey, who asked the question about Rhaenys in connection to what happened to Rhaenyra? Somebody started the question.
Oh, I did. I asked the question of what folks thought Rhaenys was thinking, knowing that Rhaenyra is going through what she went through and accused Rhaenyra of actually doing.
Karma.
It's interesting because it could be looked at as karma, but then I'm pissed off at Rhaenys could have ended the whole entire thing. Last episode, personally, I don't know how the books go. I don't care about how the books go, but on paper, burned them all and said, "Look," if she could have won, she could have went and took it in power, and then it'd been a whole nother power stroke. But she'd be like, "You know what? Like, look, they did me dirty. Look, I got your back. Let's figure this out as family." But the fact is that she didn't, and she went away. She may have did it because they're family, but she could have ended it right then and there. So, karma aside, like,
Sam, they left her in a room for a few days. You want to burn them all?
Technically, if you want to be real about it, like, the whole action, she could have stopped and prevented a lot of what's about to go down off of one action. So
that's foresight, though. Because what you're saying, though, is
I ain't seen the books. I'm not based on what the books. I don't care.
No. I'm saying that you're omniscient in this story, right? You're seeing all different parts and everything going. She got captured for a few days.
Right.
She escaped, but you want her to murder her family members.
No. Her family members legit imprisoned her. She did not have a choice.
Let me add Sam to my don't mess with list real quick.
You know what? She's like,
hold on.
She's like, Rhaenys was kind of like, you know what? I should put the smoke to all of y'all, but all of this is going around Alicent and Rhaenyra. So if y'all gonna beef, let y'all beef. This ain't got nothing. I think part of it is Rhaenys would be like, look, let all of them kill each other and let me walk in and take the throne that should have been rightfully mine
That'd
in
be
the first
sneaky,
place.
but
I think that's kind of her power.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
If
I'm
that's the
thinking
case,
because she
then
said it
cool.
herself. She's like, it's not
Okay.
my fight to start.
Mhm.
And I think in the back of her mind is, this is y'all beef. We wouldn't even be dealing with any of this if all them years ago they did what was right and put me on the throne. And if that's how y'all run, y'all deal with how y'all run. You know,
I got my kingdom. Driftmark
exactly.
is plenty fine.
Right. And like she's like, I'm in a good position. I got a whole entire fleet with my husband. Don't nobody want this smoke, but y'all do what y'all got to do. I don't care if y'all burn each other out. And even she was like, I don't want to rule over a place that's, ash and bone. The thing,
Yeah,
I think Rhaenys
she's-
doesn't care about that. Rhaenys
she's
is like, y'all
also-
burn each other out. I'm gonna be queen, and we gonna get this thing, moving forward. That's what I think. I think that's why she didn't kill him. Like, y'all do that. I ain't gonna be sitting there doing all that.
She's also the top, or at least one of the top dragon fighters in this world right now. Like, there's not too many people that can mess with her in the sky. So all the dragon on dragon beef, even like Vagar, you're not messing with her. Like, she has
you
more
don't want that
experience than anybody else with combat in the sky right now. So she's in a good position, and her family has some dragons. So it could be a lot of things. But I appreciate you listening to Sam. You kingdom will stay together. Let me just move to the side if you're going to get some beef. Before you spray, let me lead. Give me that nod. Give me that nod. Like,
it's like if y'all
Anthony, you look
about
sick
to
today.
scrap,
You should stay home. All right, my bad. You should be right.
y'all about to scrap.
But there are moments-
and let me take what's rightfully mine.
But there are moments-
That's where her mind is.
I could have sworn I saw moments of Rhaenys being almost happy and proud for Rhaenyra when Damon put the crown on her, or moments when she's talking about like, this is how we're gonna approach it. We're not gonna go all out. And I could have sworn I saw moments where she's like happy that like, okay.
Yeah, she's the one.
Yeah,
that
but did you see
that Rhaenyra is keeping the realm together by holding restraint?
But did you see the look on her face when Rhaenyra and Damon were having that argument and she told everybody to clear the room? The last shot was Rhaenys walking out, and she had the tightest smirk on her face. Like, Rhaenys is like an experienced Damon, but worse. Like, she's just watching. She's doing the whole Dr. Dre. She's just sitting back and watching the show. That's all she's doing.
Because I mean, I think you're right, man. Because remember in the earlier episodes when Rhaenyra was still young, her and Rhaenys were talking, and Rhaenys was giving her the lowdown, like, look, this is how Westeros feel about women, just so you know, be prepared for the bull, right? Like, and so I think there is a part of her that was happy to see Rhaenyra take the crown and be like, all right, I'm gonna fight back. Like, I think there was a part of her, because I think deep down she wishes she had.
That could be true. Yeah,
I agree with that.
That's really good, because I never thought about it like that. That she could have done something similar to what Rhaenyra is doing now, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think honestly too, I think that's the only reason she didn't burn all of them, was because she was saying, this ain't my place. If it was me that was going after the crown, if it was going to be mine, if it was someone trying to take it from me, maybe. But
okay, I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna take.
I don't care.
Yeah, but Keaton, here's the truth of it though, man. Of all the people in this whole cacophony of mess that is going on, the only real person with the realest amount of right to the throne is Rhaenys.
it is.
She's the only one. Like, if she gave them the full on fire and smoke and turned that whole dragon pit into the green fire that old girl did in Game of Thrones, I wouldn't have been mad, because she could have easily done that and been like, yeah, look, she could have told all of Westeros, look in my eyes, I am your queen now. You know,
Yeah.
I'm the captain of this shit. Like she
I-
could have
yeah.
done that.
I think
You
it was
know.
out of respect. I think it was still out of respect to Viserys. It's like, all right, Dad said Viserys was the king. He's the king, but I'm getting out of here with my dragon. And
Deuces.
yeah, I'm
Hey.
gonna be out. They said I
Hey.
couldn't take my dragon with me. I'm gonna go get my dragon. I'm gonna change my outfit, and I'm gonna be out.
Isn't there even a theme in Game of Thrones?
That outfit was dope. That
Yeah.
Targaryen,
Yeah,
that,
her armor was
that
bad.
Targaryen
Her
armor
armor
was
was
You
dirty.
saw she had a different swagger about it when she had that armor on. She was on a dragon. She's like,
Oh,
yeah,
that
she
back
was
was
good.
straight.
Was good,
Like,
yeah.
Right.
It's like you messing me on the ground, but I got this dragon. It's gonna say something. Because you notice, no one came after her, right? No one flew a dragon after her. They
Nope.
stayed above the ground.
Nobody even
because
tried.
she was in
I
the
know.
best position strategically she could be. She had the whole entire family at the mouth of her dragon, and there wasn't in the dragon pit, yet no dragon in there or around to even defend her.
When
Everybody here won.
Aegon was behind his mom, like, oh my god, you just got the crown, boy. I'm like,
Yo.
what you gonna stand behind your mom like right now? What you gonna do against the dragon? Like,
but isn't that
Right,
the-
exactly. Like your mom ain't Daenerys. She can if your mom catch that fire, she gonna burn like a disco inferno. Like,
oh
and
yeah,
you gonna burn with her.
Yeah.
She ain't got nothing to block. Her womb is not gonna protect you, fam. She and you are gonna get flame broiled. You can be the next, option on a Burger King meal. Like y'all getting
it was
flame broiled.
yeah.
shortest reign in history.
You know,
back then.
y'all
But so there,
y'all getting the Mortal Kombat Scorpion treatment. Y'all about to be toasty out here.
there were two
Sam.
things though. I think that's the story of Game of Thrones, where the person that should have the crown or the leadership position or win the war, they never do. It's always the unworthy ones that get it, or the ones that are gonna mess it up that gets it. And two, and this is for the book readers, I'm so mad that we didn't get the most beautiful dragon in the world this season. Like it felt like what is it? The golden one, Aemon's dragon. It's supposed to be this metallic gold dragon. And I guess they were like, no, we spent too much money already. We ain't have any.
Yeah.
We're not rendering no gold reflective metal. Y'all gonna get that for season 2 for like 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Aegon? You talking about Aegon's dragon?
Yeah.
Sunfire.
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 I've been looking for Sunfire this whole season, and I guess they were like,
I wanted more of what is it? Is it the dreaming Targaryen's dragon, the one that actually produced the 3 eggs that Daenerys will eventually crack.
Oh yeah,
Dreamfire.
Starts with a D. Dreamfire. Right.
Yeah.
I wanted that. I wanted more of that. I want to see that.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna get that. I thought we were gonna get Sheep Stealer. I thought we were gonna get a bunch of dragons just to set them up. And
there's a part of me that's glad they're saving it. They're saving some stuff.
Yeah. Well, look, you got to remember, after season 8 of Game of Thrones, they weren't willing to give the same budget, the unlimited budget that they gave before.
You know what?
House of the Dragon has to build back up to that earning right. Like y'all come off pretty good with. I think they did. I think they did but you got to be careful of that too, because it's like once you give them that unlimited stuff, are they going to pull another D&B and give you like a season 3 or season 4 that's going to be like season 8 of Game of Thrones? We don't want that.
Right.
We don't want that.
I had a debate with somebody who was saying that Game of Thrones House of Dragon was in a better position than Rings of Power, and I was like, not really, because season 8 soured a lot of people's. I think they had a lot of negative energy. Or a lot of they spent a lot of their social capital on that season 8, those season 7 and 8. I think people are looking for this to fail. I think people came into this thinking this is not going to be as good. It's not going to, and I think they did their job with just quality acting, quality writing, and with a lesser budget. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think my only thing about this show that I still have a particular issue with, although it's not as big as it was before, are the time jumps. And it's not really because they just randomly jump a few years and change actors. That's part of it. But there's a lot of story in there that I feel we were denied because of those time jumps. I think even if instead of jumping 10 years, that first time they jumped 3, 4, or 5 years would have been fine. We could have got some stuff in there. I think we were denied a lot of good story in there.
I think so, but the guy that's leaked a lot of this stuff for this season also leaked the timeline for the next season and where it's going to end. I gotta say, I'm excited. I'm excited. They built the blocks up that I really want to see these scenes play out in I don't know. I'm here for season 2, 3, and 4. Like I'm here for all of it.
Mhm.
And we don't have to we don't have to worry about them messing up the story. Well, I mean, we got to worry a little bit.
Yeah.
We got to worry a little bit, but the story's already written, so they have to make up their own stuff.
Yeah. So quick question about the time jump things. That was one of the only things I had an issue with the first half of the season and part of the midway part of the season. What if going into the second season they do a whole lifetime jump where by the end of it, by the end of the season, I don't know, Rhaenyra is dead and then there's a new king and they progress it like each season is the start of a new legacy kingdom.
See, is there a plan right now? Like, have they said that it's only supposed to run like 2 or 3 seasons? Have they said anything like that?
I've heard
or
4.
Four is what something like that.
Yeah, I heard 4 seasons, and I think they actually could have turned this into a potential 8 to 10 season that Game of Thrones could have been if they didn't do those big time jumps.
So
because the show
like
the show was good.
Enough. That's tight. Like a 4 or 5 is a tight story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is my question for those of y'all that read the books. Was there anything significant that we missed in those time jumps?
Good question.
I mean, so I'm blanking on the name so hard, but
because that was my biggest thing. Like, I know a lot of people complained about the time jumps, but at the same time, I'm like, I mean, if she was just finishing high school, I don't really need to see all that.
I see what you're saying. There was characters that you like, but you didn't get this so you get to know like there's more about Damon's wife, right? There's different things that happen with her.
Mm-hmm.
But that you might like her, but is it relevant to the overall
plot?
Right. Yeah.
No, so I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think we missed anything. I think we got the bullet points we needed to build the backstories. We had the context for the main event. The main event is starting now. And I'm one of those people that love to see as much of the things because when you read this stuff, you build it in your head. And so, I think that the end fight with the Vagar and killing her son and everything, they did that better on the show than it was written. Like in my opinion,
I definitely agree with that.
So you see things like that, you're like, yeah, but in your mind, you're building this world while you're reading, and every place has a thing, and every person is here, and they're relevant to every, like, this is why you're here, this is why, because there's certain things, like, Damon wasn't in Dragonstone when they found out that her son got killed. He wrote her a letter saying, oh, would that be a spoiler? Would that be a spoiler, his reaction? All right, never mind. But anyway, so the little building blocks, sometimes, that's one of the things they messed up in Game of Thrones, because you're like, I like this, but you skipped over this other stuff, so how do you get there? Or even like Walking Dead did that a lot, where it's like, how is this character going to end up here if you didn't do this other thing? And Game of Thrones, they did that by just making up their own stuff at the end. This one, we know the ending. You've proven you can enhance things, but are you still going to get to the same destination? I guess that's the issue, and make it make sense. So no, I don't think we missed anything that messes that up.
I remember the last episode with the young Rhaenyra and Alicent. People were like, "Oh man, they were so good. They're gonna start now making them adults." And I felt so bad for Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook. Like, yo, we love these new young kids playing and don't F it up, and they got them from the get-go, in my opinion. Yeah. But yeah, I think maybe for me, my most nitpick thing was just because they kept saying Damon's wife this, Damon's wife that, and he'd be like, nah, F her and all this, and it was just like, it was quick and effective. But I was like, I wonder why no love for that. Anyways, I don't know. That's always boggle my mind. Like, really?
Yeah, and that's the thing for me. Like, there were stories in there that they could have fleshed out. Even, I mean, Game of Thrones, the whole George R.R. Martin series is they've built on not having everything because George R.R. Martin takes his slow, sweet, molasses time writing the stuff. But I can't judge the man's process. He's a multimillionaire off of these books. But the thing for me was the actors, like you said, Ronan. I would have liked to see more of the young Alicent and young Rhaenyra and see the buildup or that breakdown of their friendship that led to that point within those 10 years because they were incredible actors. And it was kind of like they literally came up to this crescendo. They literally built up here. And then it was like, here are two new people that we got a bond with now. That's apparently 10 years after the fact. Though it's things like that that bug me about the time jump and stuff like that. But like Ant Gold said, Keaton, I don't think anything that was in the books has been deprived of us in the series. But it was definitely an opportunity for them to utilize their creative process and really show some of that breakdown and even put in some of their own intellectual insights and really give those actors a chance to really shine, even if it wasn't in the book. Because even as you know, Ant, this book is being told by a whole jester, a whole different party altogether anyway. So there's no real guarantee that what we're being told is actually what happened. So it gives them creative room, much like Rings of Power, to really kind of put some of their stuff in there. And because of how well it was going, I think they missed an opportunity for it. But
I hope
we
we get
understand.
flashbacks with those actors.
I feel like
I hope so too.
I feel like if they had, gosh, I'm almost happy they did the time jumps now though, because that sounds like anime filler. Anime filler ain't ever good, like it's one of it's one of those kind of things where I'm like, okay, good. I'm glad
true.
they just went ahead and skipped.
Yeah,
because,
I can't argue that point. Yeah.
3 years of the Naruto filler. 3 years of the Naruto filler.
Yo, that's facts though.
Let's get the fighting.
Yeah, and I don't want the show to go up to 8 seasons. I don't know. I mean, to me, I binged the first 5 seasons, but I don't know. You guys have grown up with Game of Thrones more than I have, but even knowing,
I was already an old man when I discovered this world.
You know what I mean, Ed. Come on now.
I was born in the dark.
You merely adopted.
Hey, real quick, I was going to give a shout out to Yanadu.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the
Dragons
super chat.
are not pets to be played with.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it.
You sound like a dragon's name. I love that. That's the dragon. I don't think my dragon.
Oh no, he's dead. That was a threat.
Yeah, I think my only gripe with the time jumps, it felt like the time jumps would try to get us to where we are at the finale, and I hate that. I hate narratives where like they're using time jumps or using certain stuff to get you to a certain point very quickly. Now I get it because it may not be like, oh man, if they hadn't have done that, we wouldn't have got to this place until the next season. So I get it from that perspective. But whether it's, the young actors or whether it's like feeling like it's being rushed along, that first half of the season felt like it was rushed along a lot to get us to where we are right now. Like, I feel like, I don't know, it was really jarring to me, but like we began the season with everybody really young. And by the end of it, they all got their own kids. Like, it's so weird. Like, they have kids with their own relatives and they have kids of their own. So I don't know. It's really jarring because it's gone through so quickly in one season. Like when I go and rewatch this, I'm like, man, I didn't even take into account who that was already early on. But
I thought the series was gonna die early on.
Were they secure enough to be like? I feel like if season 8 of Game of Thrones was a hit, they could have done a season of a slow burn with these characters, right? They could have done a slow burn season. But I gotta imagine they had a tall obstacle to climb. Nobody was sure about this season. They were bringing everything they had to, and they had to get to certain points. I now just look at it like this was the prologue page of a book. Like this was just those first 4 episodes was like, oh, and now we're here. So I don't know. Yeah. So Perry, I thought this felt more like an episode 9 of like old Game of Thrones. Like this episode
Right.
this week felt like episode 9 of Game of Thrones, and I was kind of because remember we were all kind of like that wasn't an episode 9 episode last week. It was good.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about it. Yeah,
It wasn't an episode 9.
it started off
I think
strong. It started off strong, but
I'm kind of wondering if they're doing that on purpose as a result of what occurred with season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
They're trying to, as much as they're tied to the Game of Thrones lore, they're trying their very best to distance
Be
themselves
different. Yeah.
and be different from
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Which
So
I
they're
like.
basically like, look, we're over here. Y'all better hope that Jon Snow series make up for y'all season 8 of Game of Thrones. Because it ain't happening over here. We doing something
Yeah.
different over here.
Better hope you can get all them actors back and get
And
back to
because-
Right. You can,
Westeros.
yeah.
Because of
We
this
don't need
first
none of that
season-
smoke. Get that smoke over to Jon Snow series. We don't-
And because of this season, I'm more interested in Jon Snow series. Like I feel like they
Mhm.
might be able to do a Jon Snow now. Because
okay.
if Jon Snow came out after, like if there was no House of the Dragon, but just next was Jon Snow, no, I'm good.
Nobody
I'll
had
watch
much
it.
faith in it. Yeah.
No, I'll watch it when it's done. You're not gonna get my hopes up. For y'all did y'all wrong.
Right.
No. Because even now, every time they bring that dagger out or they mention some of the ice of fire, it just brings me back to that disappointing Arya stabbing the Night King like moment where the long night lasted one day.
Right.
As it lasted one battle, and that was it. So the more they can get away from that and build up this credibility, the more. When is Jon Snow supposed to come out?
I think it's 2023. End of it's 2023.
I thought it was next year around this time.
Is it a
Yeah.
miniseries?
Wait,
Is
are
it
they
a miniseries
are they
or-
filming already?
Kit Harington has been saying he knows nothing about it, but that could be BS.
I don't know.
He could be applying the Marvel tactic for that show.
Actors
Yeah.
lie for a living. Why
I
would
don't
you
think it'll
trust
be
them?
out that soon.
But
Yeah.
I'm here for it though. I feel like they need to. I think they know they need to do a better story to wrap this up, to wrap up the main thing. And so wait, is Jon Snow going to be a miniseries? Do y'all know?
I don't. They haven't released much
They have
info
kept
They
about
it
haven't
it
released
all.
a lot of details
They
about
haven't,
it.
like
Real
no
tight.
casting. They don't know who's going to
We
be
know
in it.
we know nothing about Jon Snow.
We know one thing about Jon Snow. Let me put it up here on the screen just because.
That
We
Jon
talking
Snow
about
knows
his
nothing.
skills. We talking about his skills.
This
We
is
talking
just
about-
everybody off. Here you go. That's what we know about Jon.
Nah,
uh,
he was like, bye bye, Auntie.
Not that ending didn't make any sense. All right.
Never forget. None of y'all.
Never forget.
Hi, Emilia Clarke.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that this has been a great season, man. Even with some of the nitpicks, some of the shortcomings, I think this is a really good finale. I'm intrigued to see where it's going to go next. Do you guys think the budget's going to get a little bit higher going into this war? I'm assuming it's about to happen.
Yeah, it's gonna have to.
I want my golden dragon breathing golden fire.
He wants it, HBO. Give it to
Yo.
Ant. Give it to him.
That dragon
Listen,
sound like
look,
that dragon sound like a Lannister.
It definitely do.
Oh man. But
There you go,
That's
Ant.
cool. I like that comment.
He wants his House Dragon version of Smaug.
I was about to say Smaug. It looks like Smaug.
that one looks a little too green. I need some real gold on my.
love the dragon, hate the rider.
That's like
that
that's
dragon
that
looks
fake
like
me
the
out.
skull of
That's
my
that fake me
finger.
out gold.
That's
Fake me out
that.
gold that turns your skin green if you wear it too. if you
Right,
wear it too-
right. Out the back of a truck gold right there. That's what that is. Yeah, dude, okay. He's like, F them kids, F Jon Snow.
y'all to do is hilarious. He was like, John killed Danny. Forget him.
Hit him. That ain't my king. That's your king. That ain't my king.
How you out here killing Auntie, man? Look.
Right?
So,
No,
final
no.
ratings on this episode, and then closing thoughts on the season. Jorge, I'll let you go first.
All right. I thought this episode was a solid, 9.5, 10 for me. Like you just can't get. It gave me everything I wanted. And this was one of those episodes that it ended, and I was just like, "Holy crap, that was only an hour!" Like they packed so much in this episode. So yeah, no, I think this one was great. It left it on an awesome cliffhanger. That shot of her, at the very end, as soon as she turns around, like that alone just got me hyped for the next season. And then overall, I think this series, like I've said before, I think this is exactly what like Game of Thrones, like what you want from them. This will definitely clear up a lot of, like the bad taste that some people had with season 8 and all that stuff. I think this is righting the ship in a great way. And I'm all for it. So yeah, no, I'll keep it short and sweet. This was about as near perfect as a finale as you can get. And not going by the simple, like Game of Thrones theory, like where the second to last episode is the big woo-ha type thing. No, this was dope in every form and facet. So yeah, two thumbs up from me.
All right. Aunt Go, what about you?
Well, this was no She-Hulk finale, but
Oh,
it did its
Jesus.
best.
Oh my god.
so no, I would say this is a 9.5 for me. There was some things that I felt like if you didn't know the books or the lore, it might be kind of confusing, like the dragon thing for y'all. I felt that was kind of not done well. I mean, kind of confusing. So, but 9.5. I had a great time the whole way. I needed another episode after this episode. Like I feel like now I know why episode 9 was the episode that gave us gave us all the thrills. 'Cause we needed another cool down set up for the next season. Overall, this season is like a solid 9 to me. I think that I was worried when the first 4 episode time skips were happening, but they all paid off. They all paid off. So I would say, pound for pound, this is Game of Thrones. It's the Game of Thrones you want to see. When you can have characters in a room with no action going, but you can still feel the tension, and you're still engaged. I think episode 7 was the throne room and the dinner episode.
Yep.
That was my favorite episode of the season.
8, 7, 8.
It was an 8.
I think it might have been 8.
Yeah,
Oh,
8.
8 then.
8.
The,
Yeah.
the dinner and the throne room thing. That was my favorite episode of the season, and that's
It was
what we
good.
come to Game of Thrones for. When you can have characters with context, dialogue, and you still have because the flashy stuff is icing, but you're here for the characters and what's driving them, and
Yeah.
are they going to reach their goals? So
Yeah.
they did a good job with that. Some other series can take notes.
I'm not gonna go there.
Look,
That's all I gotta say.
he looking like Eamon right now. He's like, oh, what's that mean? Wait a minute.
Wait. Is it Sam on my list? Let me not take Sam off.
Let me toast to these young boys.
And time. What is
They're strong, young.
So
boys.
if you recall the last discussion we had, I said if they give me what I wanted, I was going to put it at 11 out of 10. Now the funky thing is, they gave me what I wanted, but I still can't give it 11 out of 10 for the whole season. This episode for me was definitely 10 out of 10. They gave me what I wanted. I got to see what I knew was going to kick off the Dance of Dragons, and however I formulated, I'm kind of like with Ant. However I formulated it in my mind, reading the books, they did it so much better here. So it gets a 10 out of 10 for me there. The season overall, I gotta give it a 10 out of 10. Even with the little things that I had issues with, in the grand scheme of things, they already know what they're building up to, and with what they had to deal with, especially dealing with the whole impact of season 8 of Game of Thrones. They really made this show as good as it could be. I did have my little concerns with Damon's first wife and second wife, that we didn't get a lot of seeing them. I mean, we may have seen his first wife for all of like 2-3 minutes, and his second wife showed up in a couple episodes. I would have loved to see more of that, but I can't let that take away from the overall story they're trying to push, which they did. They did it well. They even ended the show, that ended the season at a good part. They had Rhaenyra basically give you the Norman Bates look like at the end. I thought they might have put the skull of her dead son over mapping it like the Norman Bates joint with his mother. But the way it ended was so good, and I have no real issues with the season that could take away from it. So 10 out of 10 for me, 2 thumbs up. I'm good to go. Looking forward to season 2.
All right. Ronan, what about you, man?
As a newbie to the world or worlds of George R.R. Martin and Westeros, I really dug this show, and it's up there for me in the year is probably the best show, if not my top 3. I didn't think I could continue watching a show where I could quickly dislike characters, pity them, and yet cheer for them more than any other show, I think. And that's saying something because I watch a lot of TV, and so I appreciate that. I commend all the actors, the young girls who left us mid-season, the new ladies who took on the roles, and it's kind of cool now to be part of how big Game of Thrones was. You know, when people were at the height of it during season 6 and 7, because by the time that ship went down, I was in the background just drinking my frappuccino, be like, well, that's less stress that I had to deal with. But hope for the future of season 2. That's now a panel I'm gonna want to go to for Comic-Con, is the House of the Dragons panel, and I hope they don't do the Valerians any more dirty than they've already dumped through them already. And that last shot is, somebody said it best. The Norman Bates look, I love that shot. That it said so much without saying a single word.
Thanks, Ronan. And last but not least, the person that started this whole journey with Game of Thrones with me, team member of JVS, Keaton. First of his name.
Man, honestly, it's funny. I was sitting here thinking about when we first started watching it, I got into it, and Game of Thrones was like special. It hit like zeitgeist level. Like it was just a cultural phenomenon. Like Game of Thrones was up there with like Tickle Me Elmo and like Who Let the Dogs Out. Like it was like part of just culture. And those last seasons, it slipped. But watching this show this season gave me that feeling like when I was first watching Game of Thrones, and I'm happy. I'm really happy about that because it's like I can't even explain that emotion, but it was special, and I'm hoping that they can keep this going because this has that special feeling to it. It has that care. Those last seasons of Game of Thrones didn't have the care that those first ones did, and everybody could tell. This has that care, and I'm hoping it continues because I gave that finale a 10 out of 10, and I give this first season a solid 9.5 out of 10. And so, because I didn't mind the time jumps because I just assumed nothing happened in between them. And so, yeah, I'm just this next year waiting for it's gonna suck, but I'm excited. I can't wait to rewatch it, see what I missed first time through.
Yeah. And my final thoughts is I thought this episode was a 10 out of 10. I mean, it started insane. Like I think it was reaction worthy. If you guys are doing reactions, you should check it out. Our reaction whenever I get it posted. But from beginning to end, it gave me the things that I was looking forward to. Like based on how the narrative was going, without me having any book knowledge at all. I'm excited to see a season 2 and overarching the season as a whole. I'd rest it at a 9 out of 10. I really did enjoy it. And I can't wait to talk about it more later with you guys. So I appreciate you guys for being here. Thanks all 20 of you guys that are here. Thanks again for the super chat. We will be back. We are planning a certain discussion that I'm going to bring up one last time. That is going to be a cross promotion where we're going to be talking about 2 separate shows, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I'm hoping to have everybody here to talk about that. And I'm not going to bring up that other show. I'm not going to bring up what other shows that we're going to be doing this with, because there's a plan behind this. They don't know that. We're not just going to do this 2 shows. We're also going to do other shows. And I think we're going to make it something really special now that both seasons are done. So, yeah, y'all prepare yourselves for that. And last but not least, I'll never forgive Bernice for that. Never.
Dracarys.
She's winning.